I love how we are currently in an era of gaming where it just keeps getting better and better. Every year is striving to compete and become the best in gaming, and hopefully it never stops. You'd think with the looming release of the next generation of consoles on the way, games would slow down in releases and of course the quality of those releases, but it's actually the exact opposite. And with 2020 games looking to be even greater and more ambitious than ever before, things can only go up from here. However, we are not here to discuss the games releasing in 2020, we'll save that for a future video towards the end of the year, but instead I want to do a wrap up of all the games I've played throughout 2019, and potentially find some Game of the Year contenders. With that all being said, hi, my name is Young Falcon, I'll be your host for today, and let's get straight into the video. Resident Evil 2 was easily one of my biggest surprises for me. After playing the one-shot teaser, I knew this was a game I had to play, and what a blast it was. Firstly, right off the bat, I just want to talk about the presentation. I love how simplistic the heads-up display is. It's just very minimalistic, there's not too much going on, all of it just oozes simplicity, and it's really easy to read exactly what you need or what you have in your inventory, or honestly just the bare basics, which is how much ammo you have and things like that. Off the bat, the sense of despair and dread that lingers over the world is really exhilarating. The atmosphere is just oozing with style, the hallways are disgusting and broken, the police station is falling apart with missing keypad buttons, broken windows, barricaded doors, and many other details that just show how run down Raccoon City Police Department became over the span of a couple of days. This is coupled with one of the best engines in gaming right now, the RE engine, making everything look so realistic and grotesque. It really shows just how crazy things have gotten over the span of, again, a couple of days. I mean, these zombies ain't playing around. I really like the feeling that nowhere in Raccoon City is safe, and these zombies, they're done really well here. They're not just generic killing machines that swarm and rush you down like it's World War Z, okay? You have to painstakingly take your time sneaking and sleuthing around every corner and every nook and cranny of the RPD to avoid danger. The dynamic score also helps out in this regard with the chilling overworld theme that always has you on your toes. The game doesn't use the score too often, however, which is one of my gripes. However, it more than makes up for it with its sound design. I'm talking the dripping water faucets in the bathroom heard echoing down the hallway, the moans of zombies as they prepare to ambush you by bursting through a window, the pounding footsteps as Mr. Ecstasy chases for your soul. Yeah, the sound design is superb and truly helps immerse you in this world. The combat loop is great as well. Zombies and other bioweapons really don't like to die. Go figure. So rather than wasting ammo trying to get the perfect headshot and kill the things, the best course of action is to take out their limbs so you could squeeze by and reach your next destination. This adds a little bit of suspense and tactics to your gunplay. However, the zombies won't go down without a fight as they put their all into chasing you, so you need to be careful. If you take out their limbs, you better bet they're going to be crawling around the floor to cut you off from various stairways, blocking doors, and do anything they can to make sure you're gonna get chomped. Thankfully, you're not just equipped with a pistol. If you're clever and do some exploring around these locations, you'll find some more weapons to use that most definitely assist you in your cause. I'm talking shotguns, I'm talking flamethrowers, and many more. Zombies aren't the only threat, however. Lickers provide a really difficult challenge as their fast speed and stealthy approach makes it really hard to get a shot off their big fat brains. And if you keep on missing, you better bet a lot of ammo is leaving your inventory, and trust me, you don't want to fight a licker with a knife. And of course, we have our final big baddie, which is Mr. X, who's gonna spawn into your game, and you better bet he's gonna drain your health bar in a matter of seconds, causing you to play it safe and quickly hurry into a safe room or anywhere safe so he won't harm you. Sure, you can damage Mr. X, but doing so only disables him for a little bit. Of course, he's still gonna come back to haunt you. The only downside with the gameplay is, well, the bosses. There's only a handful of these guys, but they all kind of boil down to shoot big glowy thing and watch big mutant crumble. They do offer some unique moments, mainly the final boss in the sewer fight, but for the most part, they're a bit on the generic side. However, want to know what's not generic? the puzzles in the game. Puzzles are really hard, mainly because it requires you to completely explore your environment, really making use of full context clues and observing every nook and cranny to make sure you get tiny things like numbers that were hidden around on dossiers or on walls that can be inputted onto safes to unlock them, reading notes to unlock lockers and gun cabinets, etc, etc. The list goes on and on with the amount of and variety of puzzles this game has to offer, and all of them are really well executed. The storyline is also pretty fun to follow. You guys know it by now. I don't think I have to get too into it. I just love the acting and facial capture work. I feel like it was done really well here, and it really does feel like a straight up B movie at times, which is really good for me because I like that cheesy feel that Resident Evil games always bring. Overall, I thought this game was really good. The atmosphere is tense and scary, the gunplay is absolutely satisfying, puzzles are mind-bendingly hard, and the story is most definitely enjoyable. I really think this game is a Game of the Year contender for 2019, and if you haven't picked it up yet, really give it a shot. Even if you're not a fan of horror, there's something you're really going to enjoy with this game, and I just had a really good time with it, so check it out.
Holy shit! Chew on that, you overgrown son of a bitch.
Kingdom Hearts 3 has a lot to unpack. Probably the most polarizing game of 2019 from what I heard. Some diehard fans love it, some absolutely despise it, some think it's the second best of the series, and some think it's the absolute worst. The list goes on and on with this game. How do I feel personally? I think it's really great. I just have to applaud the presentations. It's wonderful as always. The menus are extremely clean and easy to navigate, health bars and MP are easy to read, and the character portraits add charm as per usual. The world design and costume changes are also really fitting and cool to see as per usual in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. And speaking of worlds, I really enjoyed the world list we got with Kingdom Hearts 3. Finally being able to visit the Toy Story world was enough to sell this product for me, and the worlds that we got were really good and some just outright shocking with how well everything was executed. Some highlights include the wonderful Tangled world, which was a great intro to me to get into the flow of combat and minigames. The Toy Story world felt massive, and I loved being a tiny toy going through every air vent, store, and toy chest looking for unique collectibles to take down the Heartless, not to mention the extremely fun mech encounters that they threw into the game. Being able to ride in a mech shooting missiles and guns are just really fun. The Big Hero 6 and Monster Inc. world were great as well, and even the returning worlds got a lot of brand new mechanics to shake up gameplay. The Pirates of the Caribbean world had the pirate ship exploration with an intriguing fun mini open world to explore, and even a whole underwater segment that was just a blast to go through. The Colosseum world is a great tutorial and throws us right into the action of Kingdom Hearts 3, and of course returning to Twilight Town was truly a treat. The gameplay is where things get interesting to say the least. To be completely honest, it's not the complex high-octane parry fest that was Kingdom Hearts 2, whereas Kingdom Hearts 2 feels like a really good character action game with some RPG elements up there with the ranks of Bayonetta and Devil May Cry. Kingdom Hearts 3 was more like playing those games with auto combos enabled, and no critical mode hurting me in 2 to 3 hits and insta-dying isn't nearly as satisfying as putting the amount of time and effort you have to put in with Kingdom Hearts 2's Proud Mode. The gameplay is your standard Kingdom Hearts affair with a couple of kind of new additions. The shot lock ability, which lets Sora lock onto a herd of Heartless and unleash an onslaught of magical abilities ranging from homing attacks to things that can boost your melee attacks or healing sword directly depending on which keyblade you have. This is also coupled with the ability to switch between keyblades on the fly, which I was personally a huge fan of. Each keyblade has 3 forms you can upgrade depending on how many attacks you unleash to fill up a boost meter. You can boost your magic attacks to go from something like Fire to Fiora, or overhaul Sora and your keyblade by activating a transformation sequence. The best part about transforming your keyblade is getting new attack chains and unique shot lock abilities. The flow of combat is extremely addicting, being able to reach the second form of a keyblade to unleash disgusting amounts of damage and comboing that with magic, being able to reach the second form of a keyblade unleashing disgusting amounts of damage, comboing magic, and using flow motion to jump off walls and spin around pillars and do devastating attacks is really fun. I love the sense of speed the game delivers, mainly again thanks to the flow motion smooth movement, which is a big upgrade over the clunky flow motion usage that was in Dream Drop Distance. The various keyblades are also diverse and really help make gameplay feel less monotonous. Couple that with shock lock abilities and form changes, and it really comes a long way to making combos flow effortlessly. The enemy types are also very diverse. The unversed and nobodies make their grand return, and oh boy are they a ton of fun to fight. The nobody is constantly squirming around finding it hard to get a good hit in, and the unversed being tiny darting little creatures that are extremely agile, once again making it hard to battle these creatures. All the enemy types offer some great combat moments. Couple that with tight gameplay and yeah, we have a winner. But what's good gameplay without bosses to test your skills? Thankfully, Kingdom Hearts 3 does more than enough to satisfy that itch, as boss battles in this game are invigorating. I loved all the bosses for the most part, from the cinematic fight against the Titans in the Colosseum to the fun platforming elements offered in the Pirates of the Caribbean world. Each boss fight was pretty unique and none of them played like the last. The only downside to the game is the really dull gummy ship sections and that awful Frozen boss fight. Actually, the entire Frozen world in general really just drags the game. It was way too long and ugh. But anyways, the open world for the gummy ships is just a bit too large and really tends to drag on, especially when you're trying to rush to the next story beat. And then you get hit with a random out of nowhere Heartless encounter, which can be pretty frustrating, especially if you don't put any time into upgrading your gummy ship, because the entire point is you're just trying to get from point A to point B. Don't recommend that, by the way, because you'll end up like me and get blasted away a lot. All in all, Kingdom Hearts 3 from a gameplay and presentation perspective was an absolute blast. The game offered a lot of unique mechanics and was a treat to sit down and play. The storyline, however, oh boy, well, there's way too much to unpack with this series as convoluted and layered as Kingdom Hearts, so I'll save my full thoughts on it for my complete Remind analysis video for now. I think it's pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it a lot, especially the final battles and the way it wrapped up. I found it pretty touching and just a wholesome game to play through. I also really enjoy how Organization 13 tries to plant their ideals into various Disney worlds, rather than having Sora go through a loose retelling of the Disney plots and not really having any connection to what's going on in the main games. Overall, it's amazing as a Kingdom Hearts fan, but if you're new to the franchise, I recommend at least playing the KH collections to catch up on all 3 games, because you're gonna be pretty lost. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is well worth the journey, and you should definitely give this game a play. Apex Legends, a brand new battle royale FPS by the Titanfall developers, and it's easily my favorite battle royale on the market right now due to its unique blend of abilities, diverse movement options, and super fun gunplay. It all makes for an extremely rewarding experience and really adds to that one more game factor. The design is, as always, on point. I mean, it's Respawn. The UI is going to be clean and it transfers well between PC and consoles, and I really love the Respawn mechanic, allowing you and your squad to pick up their beacons to bring them back at a later time throughout the match. It really gives a chance for your squad to get a second win in case you barely squeak by after a really rough encounter. And to be honest, there really isn't much to say about this game compared to everything else on the list. I mean, it's a great battle royale with really good gunplay, pretty solid map that changes every so often, and it literally has mechanics ripped straight from Titanfall, which is my all-time favorite multiplayer first-person shooter. The damage output of each gun is reasonable, the game's balancing is handled pretty well, so no weapons at the moment feel too under or overpowered, and the legends are charming and have a good amount of personality without coming off as one note. And the icing on the cake is it's free to play. Now, yes, there are some downsides, mainly because of the atrocious microtransactions, especially with the Iron Crown event that is going on as of this recording, but that's also typical EA shenanigans. I wish the developers responded with a bit more tact and grace, but if you're willing to overlook the EA nonsense and want a fun squad game, I have to recommend this one with the highest of honors. If there's anything about 2019, it's that Battle Royales really dominated this year along with 2018, but hey, take a look, it's Tetris 99. It's just good old plain fun. It's fast-paced Tetris where you try to fight 99 other people, and it's crazy. It's really hectic. I get scared. I had a really great time figuring out T-spins, which I can't get down for the life of me, and finding all sorts of tactics to dominate the competition and hopefully place for that coveted first. And with constant events like the Fire Emblem and Splatoon themes, it goes a really long way to help the game stand out a little bit from every other Tetris thing on the market. It also offers a $10 expansion pack, which gives you a marathon mode and versus bots, so you can practice on the go and stuff. What the Switch is made for, basically. So shout outs to Tetris guys for that one. And it's overall really good. There's no microtransactions. If you want to support the developers, you can get the pass. You guys get the gist. It's really worth it. It's really fun, and people are still playing it to this day. So just try it. It's really good, guys. Just play it. It's great. Tetris 99 carries the FGC. Sorry. Okay, let's do this quick. I tried Jump Force, but this game is just I tried to Jump Force, but this game is straight up trash. Alright, combos are one touch, the bouncing is non-existent, the gameplay is repetitive, not to mention that it's got a garbage tier story, and the visuals are atrocious. They're ugly. The game it sucks, okay? The game absolutely sucks. And since I had the misfortune of playing through it, I obviously had to talk about it for a little bit here. I will leave you guys with this little unscripted off the cuff. Stop supporting the garbage tier anime games that have been coming out. Alright, I shouldn't even got My Hero. I don't know why he did. It looked cool. I played for a little bit. I thought it was fun. It wasn't. It's bad. It's not good. Stop standing trash. Okay, we gotta do better. We gotta show these companies that we want better. Low key, Shinobi Strikers was the wave. I'm not gonna hold you guys. I'm gonna be completely honest. I thought the game was pretty unique and fun. It's a little simple, but it has a lot of cool mechanics, and with a little fleshing out and maybe adding some more combo abilities and doing just a couple things to tweak it up, that game could have been a Go Naruto multiplayer game. It's a fun squad thing, kind of what Naruto's about, pulling up with a squad. You get to literally build a ninja team and your own ninja. That's tough. That's cool. More of that, please. I know you guys don't like change and everyone wants another Storm, but that was OD fun, and the game doesn't even look bad. I don't know why people bash it. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I want some diversity, boys. I want some fresh blood. Hopefully the Tokyo Ghoul game might do it to them. World Seeker, I heard, was just aight, so we'll actually let that one slide because it was doing a little something different. It's kind of open world and stuff, so I'm gonna let those games slide. But please, oh my gosh, I'm begging you guys over there at Bandai Namco, just either spice it up completely or make just really deep fighting games, which I know you guys have the capabilities of doing. Don't be afraid to go full Tekken on us. Don't be afraid to go full fighters again on us. This time remove kind of the simple auto combo stuff. Throw in some Shoryu inputs, things just to make it a little more complex. People like feeling smart when they learn how to hit a Z motion on a fight stick. Anyways, moving on. Next game, which is also another fighting game. Let's get over to the next one real quick. Next is Dead or Alive 6, and oh gosh, this game literally broke my heart. Alright, I'm a huge fan of Dead or Alive, okay? I really enjoy these games. I even love the storylines in Dead or Alive, alright? But DOA 6 really missed the mark for me, mainly due to the weird changes in gameplay and the egregious season passes or pass or whatever. The storyline in DOA 6, it felt half-baked compared to the CGI cutscenes we got with DOA 3, 4, and even 5. And here it is, it's just mainly in-engine text boxes and a couple tiny little combos that don't really add much significance. It was just alright. It was just okay. It was really average, and I'm upset. And to pile on the mediocre, here comes some straight up negatives, because the visuals for a next generation DOA game are literally a 1-to-1 with DOA 5. I couldn't see the difference. I guess it's more bright, which is like whatever. But for a game that is like built for, you know, next gen consoles, I don't know why it looks like a game that came out for the 360 or downright the 360 DOA 5, but whatever. The gameplay changes mainly are dumb. There's like a get out of jail sidestep button, and you could press an attack button too, and it's really spammable and it's hard to avoid and block, and it's safe on block for like almost every character, so that's dumb. I hear it takes meter now because like patches. It still doesn't help that the sidestep alone is busted, but again, whatever. The new break attack system I'm just not a fan of. I know it's basically power blows from DOA 5, but now it's even easier to do, and I don't like that. And it also combos into itself with the mashing of the sidestep button, which is again dumb. I don't know why you guys added that. Power blow was a fine mechanic. I don't know why they keep doing dumb stuff. This is mainly a personal bias because I don't really like fighting games, especially 3D fighters, just throwing in random meter for no reason. I mean, do it smartly like Tekken, where it's like you really got to be down in a fight, and you got to combo it, and it scales pretty reasonably, so like it's not like you're gonna get killed by it unless you're really playing super unsafe, and all of them have good wind up instead of it just being a burst option like in DOA 6. But again, regardless, I feel like it's just missing that sauce that games like DOA 5 had. Alright, I feel like it's missing the unique stages, the verticality the stages offered in games like DOA 4 and 3. None of the stages are even interesting except for like what 2 in DOA 6. It's just missing that Team Ninja charm. And for a game that came out for $60 and then later went free to play a week after, when the game already felt like a free to play game because of the way you have to unlock costumes and all the monetization and all that, then yeah, that's a real bummer. All right, I really wanted this game to be cool, but it failed in every aspect. Just get the core fighters pack, maybe buy a couple fighters you like if you do enjoy the game like that, and just keep it pushing, man. Team Ninja, you gotta do better. Koei Tecmo, you gotta do better over there. I don't know what's going on with you guys, okay? But it's time to step it up. Moving on to the next game, alright? Don't do this again. Devil May Cry 5 has no reason being this good. DMC5 is a wonderful blend of stunning visuals, grotesque monster slaying action, and a stylish combat flow, and of course, just wonderful, ear-pleasuring music. Okay, Devil May Cry 5 reinvigorates one of Capcom's honestly most rocky franchises thanks to its heart, gameplay, and surprisingly impactful story. I actually want to start with the story first, as it's easily the aspect that grabbed me the most, surprisingly. Not so much the main plot. I mean, that's all the standard Virgil is salty about humans nonsense, and we've all come to love it, so it's not that big of a deal. What really makes it is the way characters interact. Alright, Nero's character is cocky yet lighthearted despite facing end of the world level threats and going through some rough stuff like getting his arm ripped off, which, you know, is kind of painful and hurts and kind of wants revenge, so I understand his motives there. His interactions with Nico are also tremendously wholesome, and their banter is often hilarious, and it is a great way to bring in a little bit of exposition into the story. Also, the van appearing in the most wild of spots will never get old for me. Then of course we have good old Dante being good old Dante. Alright, you're a wisecracking, cocky old man who can easily destroy demons single-handedly. And then there's V, a whiny pretentious brat. The character's personality also reflect in their gameplay, which is also a nice touch. Alright, V is cowardly, using his panther and crow to fight for him, and his attacks consist of furious panther swipes which can set up for juggles, and the crow keeps those same enemies bouncing in the air with electric attacks. It's mainly one giant game of timing with V, knowing when to charge attacks, when to set up for juggles, and when to cause huge combos to put baddies into a staggered state, which is when V can teleport in and hit him with this cane, killing any staggered enemies in sight. He's the most basic to play and not as complex as like Dante or even Nero, but he's still a ton of fun and offers a good amount of complexity for a character of his stature. He offers that weird PS2 charm in his gameplay that the 7th generation of consoles really have been lacking. Nero comes off as a bit basic with his one-button sword combos and one-button gunplay, but what really makes this character is the plethora of options available with his Devil Breakers. They are tons of fun to use and offer so many ways to switch up your combos. It's actually shocking and phenomenal. So let's go over some of my favorites. I love the punchline, letting me throw a rocket arm projectile that juggles enemies, setting up for some gnarly aerial combos, or letting you have a chance to run away and catch your breath from intense combat. Another bonus is being able to ride the punchline into the skulls of demonic hordes. The tomboy is also hyped because it powers up your sword and guns to obscene levels, and most importantly, when held down, it releases a humongous exploding, destroying any demon in Nero's radius. The Buster arm is so much fun, just picking up demons and swinging them around. It's plain fun. Lastly, there's the Ragtime, the good old time stopper. It's a dope Devil Breaker that slows down enemies to a crawl, which means it's combo time. Nero also has a revolver for juggles, Exceed ability to power up his gun and sword, and of course his wire snatch move, which allows Nero to pull enemies up to his level, setting up for jump cancelable combos, or setting up for Nero to pull himself towards larger enemies to start a string. His overall moveset is super gratifying and very combo heavy. He's truly the definition of easy to play but hard to master. It's easy to see how cool you can mash out his attack strings and throw out his Devil Breaker, and it's just fun to watch flashy stuff on screen, but it's hard to master to fully incorporate his Devil Snatcher, Devil Breaker arm, learn how to sacrifice the Devil Breaker for maximum damage, and get its strong string going to fully reach that coveted stylish rank. Or if you want to be extra cheeky, the smoking sexy style, the SSS. This game's so cool. Did I mention how cool Devil May Cry was? Finally, we have Dante, the cream de la cream, and one of the hardest characters to play in Devil May Cry 5. And he takes a long time to master. There's no easy to pick up here, alright? Dante is purely weapon based, using his guns, rocket launchers, gauntlets, motorcycles, a fedora? Yeah. Oh. He's definitely up there with one of the most unique character designs we've come to love in the DMC franchise. His execution barrier is very tight. Moves can't just be mashed out. Everything requires a great amount of timing. This also ties into his core gimmick, which is stances, each giving him either new moves to add to his expansive moveset or adding a defensive option to give Dante a boost in combat. Trickster gives Dante a quick dodge burst option, allowing him to weave in and out of combat with ease. Swordmaster allows Dante to give his melee moves an extra button to utilize during combat. Gunslinger does the same thing, Swordmaster does, but instead of melee weapons, giving it to his guns. And then there's Royal Guard, which lets Dante block incoming moves, or if you're really skilled, parry incoming moves, and not only his Devil Trigger gauge, but also your style points. Dante also has access to his Devil Trigger ability, allowing him to activate his Devil form, which can heal and deal more damage towards the demons. Dante's sections are easily the hardest in the game. I'm not afraid to admit I died a bunch of times over and over and over again. His levels are the most punishing, but once mastered, he'll put all your skills to the test. Nothing proves this more than his boss fights, as his mainly rely on one-to-one encounters, and you really have to swap between all of your styles to get the job done. Actually, the boss battles are generally really well done. They're bombastic and do a wonderful job of testing the player's knowledge of the game's mechanics, and specifically Nero's boss fights against Gilgamesh, making sure you use your Wire Snatcher, Devil Breaker, and all sorts of moves in your inventory to the fullest of your ability. Oh, and did I mention that gorgeous soundtrack? Okay, it's constantly shifting and changing depending on how well you're fighting in game, and that never gets old. Blessed be dynamic soundtracks in video games. Keep that up, guys. And Nier Automata did it. It's one of the best games of all time. DMC5 did it. It's one of the best games of all time. I don't think it's a secret that dynamic soundtracks really carry games, alright? I'm just saying, you guys might want to try that a little bit more. Devil May Cry 5 is another banger of a release from Capcom, alright? That puts two huge Capcom IPs as contenders of Game of the Year 2019, and from a company that used to release things like Street Fighter Cross Tekken and Lost Planet 3 and all sorts of just mediocre titles. Boy, is that a comeback. This next game on the list, which is Crackdown 3. Unfortunately, Crackdown 3 just it sucks. Sorry, the game is just trash. It's not good. It wanted it to be good, but it's just not. This game was touted as the next-gen super comp GTA experience with destructible buildings, crazy action set pieces, and a very vast open world. But instead we got another generic run-of-the-mill open world game with the most boring open world I've ever explored in my entire gaming career. It literally lacking NPCs just walking around or driving around the city half the time because it's so bland and uninspired. Sometimes enemies just kind of pop in, things don't really happen, the game lacks a lot of charm the first one had, the jokes really don't land, the narrative is very dull, and the game is just alright. I mean, the gameplay kind of works when it works with all the cool weapons they have. I think there's like guns that spew acid, you can combine it with rocket launchers and stuff, and that's kind of cool. But it's really missing a lot of the charm the first game had with, you know, the rival gang factions and all that stuff, and kind of that sci-fi cyberpunk feel it was going for. But instead we just get a kind of run-of-the-mill generic kind of dull product. I don't know what else to say, just avoid this game at all costs. Battle for the Grid really brings me back to the PS2 era of budget fighting games. Its thrilling mix of simplistic combat and intricate team combos really come a long way in making the game extremely fun to play. Battle for the Grid also has very strong developer support with free updates, adding new modes, titles, badges, and even a complete story campaign that brings an interesting what-if story for any Power Rangers fan to experience. There is a season pass that adds 3 Rangers for $20, which isn't too bad considering the game itself costs $20 and already has so much content packed into it. And oh, did I mention that this game offers crossplay between the Nintendo Switch and Xbox One? That's really necessary for a fighting game in my opinion in 2019. It's a really great package, more than worthy of the $20 price tag. Couple that with the core gameplay being extremely satisfying, offering a pretty simplistic control scheme, giving you your standard light, medium, and heavy attack, and a special attack button that gives the Rangers access to a variety of weapon moves. It's also easy to do supers and ultras, only requiring the press of 2 buttons, and of course the game really shines with its tag mechanics. You can tag in your partner to use one of 3 special moves, and upon pressing the tag button again, you can perform a takeover which lets you swap in and out of Rangers on the fly. If you set up correctly, you could have some really fun combo extensions that add a decent layer of strategy to each fight. Oh, and just in case you didn't know, 3v3 fighters are my jam, so bonus points for that. If you are a Power Rangers fan or a fighting game fan, I really implore you guys to give this game a shot, considering its PC release is dropping September 24th, and thanks to crossplay, you really shouldn't ever run out of people to play with. World War Z is just a really fun co-op shooter with the reasonable price being $40. The game has a lot of Left 4 Dead and Warhammer Vermintide influence, but you know what? That's okay. It's just a really relaxing game to pop on, you spawn in, get some machine guns, some ammo, mow down hordes of the undead. It's just a really chill therapeutic game in a way. The diversity of locations each level offers is also a really welcome addition. It was pretty fun to check out places like Tokyo, Moscow, New York, Jerusalem, and Cindy during a zombie apocalypse, and the weapon handling is really nice. I also love seeing the zombies crawl all over themselves and do everything they can to scramble up to you and eat your guts out. I mean, these things are crawling on top of each other, climbing rooftops, jumping over things. It's absolutely ludicrous at times. The only downside is there's no local co-op, which is a huge shame for a game of this magnitude, but online co-op is still a good time. I haven't really played any of the versus mode. I just kind of assumed it's already dead at this point, but if it isn't, maybe I'll go in there and check it out someday. I don't know. If any of the footage I've showed so far looks interesting to you, then you should head out and pick this game up. It's usually only around $40, and with sales I usually see it as low as $20 to $30. You can't really go wrong with a fun zombie wave shooter. What can I say? It's Mortal Kombat 10, but even better. More visceral combat, a story that truly hits its cinematic beats and is extremely heartwarming at certain moments. A very fun arcade ladder to explore with downright hilarious outcomes. The changes to meter is also refreshing, allowing for mix-ups to feel more fresh and satisfying to pull off, and really rewarding defensive and aggressive play to the maximum ability. The character roster also brings back some old favorites, and the combat pass is looking absolutely scrumptious. This game's graphics got a huge step up from 10 with a much cleaner coat of paint. The netcode is getting better but still could use some work, but it more than makes up for it with the amount of modes available. I also love the customization the game has to offer with tons of moves, costume pieces, and fatalities you can swap between, allowing for some straight up outrageous combat variations. All in all, Mortal Kombat 11 was a treat, and again, despite some iffy microtransactions, as of now, it's still a very strong experience. Rage 2 is an open-world first-person shooter set in a post-apocalyptic world. You play as Ranger Walker, who fights for the Resistance as they try to kill the big bad General Knox or something like that. I don't quite remember. You gain abilities by looking around the overworld to take down countless amounts of strongholds in order to become the strongest in the wasteland and eventually kill General Knox, Robo Guy, that guy. You encounter all sorts of dangerous foes such as generic bandit number 55, generic mutant number 45, robot dude 22, and a boss robot turret thingy, which you guys get the gist. All jokes aside, Rage 2 is painstakingly average. It's another play it safe by the numbers open world FPS with some pretty interesting ideals thrown into the mix. I do enjoy the quirky weapons you have in your arsenal, a smart rocket launcher that locks onto enemies and breaks into tiny micro missiles, the Firestorm revolver which allows you to dictate the bandit's fates as you shoot out bullets that tag enemies and later can be activated with an explosive snap of your fingers. Heck, even the shotgun in this game has a cool function, allowing for a gust of wind to come out knocking down the opposition. The abilities are somewhat fun to mess around with too, but definitely like the creativity of the gun, seeing as they're the run-of-the-mill Ground Slam, Destiny Melee Punch, and Vortex, and stuff like that. The world has its moments of being fun to explore, namely the forest and marsh areas, adding some much needed variety from the dry, desolate, boring desert wastelands that plague much of the game. I do understand it's a post-apocalyptic world, but hey, if there's marshes and swamps and forest areas, is it okay to take a couple more liberties with, I don't know, a couple more destroyed neighborhoods and cities, or something more interesting to drive through just a little more frequently rather than just desert road? Maybe drive through some communities that never got off the ground, something to add a little bit of world building other than the preset placed shanty towns where you pop in for a tiny bit to grab quests or purchase items. Speaking of which, both the driving and missions could use some work. The driving is passable for the most part, but making tight turns or drifting at any capacity feels like the cars are always either way too stiff or way too floaty, making it very difficult to deal with, especially during the racing events, some of which are mandatory for the campaign, so just a little issue. Then there's the kill insert number of bad guys at a stronghold, then hold X to capture the base stuff, or wipe out a certain amount of bandits, then clear the side quest, etc, etc. It's all standard checklist stuff in Rage 2, but is it fun? Kind of, maybe a little bit, I suppose. It's not the worst thing in the world, it's just really repetitive and also way too easy. I mean, I'm on hard mode and I cleared the main campaign in under 7 hours. It's not like I was rushing or anything, I just did most of the side stuff I enjoyed and I went to the main quest and kind of beat the game, and now I'm just stuck with the boring goal open world that's just kill here, kill this. It's kind of sad, really. Maybe if this game had a little bit more time to balance out the mechanics, add some more enemy variety, pad out the campaign a bit, I don't know, just a couple more things, it'd be a little bit better of a game, but as of now, it's just okay. Thankfully, the gunplay is pretty fun, but again, it's just a little too on the mediocre side, and looks like the entire gaming industry and community agrees with me, because I've never seen a Bethesda game drop this low in price since, oh, well, I guess history is doomed to repeat itself, Rage? Slay the Spire is a roguelike card combat dungeon crawler. The game's objective is simple. You're a warrior who must make their way up a spiral tower, slaying the bosses and enemies inside, and ultimately your objective is to slay the Spire. The game starts out simple enough. You have 5 cards in a hand, each being either a offensive or defensive option like attacking with magic attacks or a sword, or blocking and adding passive abilities to your character. You have to be careful with the way you build your character up, making each run very difficult. When you apply a block card, it adds block damage on top of your HP, which you could think of as another health bar. The monsters do have to chip away at it. This allows for a bit of strategy to form when completing a run. Are you going to stack up on defense and unleash an onslaught of devastating attacks, or play the aggressive game and build a deck full of offensive cards, basically allowing you to one-shot enemies and leaking a little bit of HP here and there during the tougher encounters? The game really allows you to be flexible with what cards you want to add to a deck, and it goes a long way making every run a joyous time sink. There's also a way to upgrade and enhance your cards through shopkeepers, resting at camp spots, and all of that sort. Of course, random encounters can really make or break your run, which always leads to a tense experience, and it's overall a very enjoyable game. If you're into slower paced adventure card combat games, and maybe things of Hearthstone and that sort, I really think you guys should check this game out. You can find it on the Xbox One and PC. Next up is going to be Cadence of Hyrule. Developed by the Crypt of the Necrodancer team, Cadence of Hyrule starts basically the same way A Link to the Past starts. A mysterious man named Octavio tricks the king and takes over Hyrule thanks to the power of his magical loot, and it's up to Cadence, Link, and Zelda to put a stop to Octavio's actions by exploring Hyrule, gathering the magical instruments, and facing him head on. This game was truly a breath of fresh air as it mixes the wonderful 2D Zelda formula of exploring an overworld, looking for equipment and solving puzzles, while still keeping the randomly generated dungeon exploration found in Crypt of the Necrodancer. All of your movements, from swinging a sword to pulling out a bomb to even simply moving, is done to the beat of a wonderful soundtrack. The gameplay is smooth and responsive. Each action really feels like a mini real-time strategy game, testing you and your wits as you really have to juggle using your inventory wisely to dispatch monsters and solve puzzles. The presentation is also pretty spot on. The sprite work is phenomenal. Every NPC, monster, and even the player has an adorable little mouth which also helps cue the player onto incoming attacks. The colors are extremely vibrant and the monsters are really tough. They each have their own rhythm you have to follow in order to outwit them and take them out. It's really fun tackling each baddie, especially in crowded environments, because it really tests all your skills and forces you to think outside of the box when fending off the onslaught of Hyrule's worst. The game doesn't stop there though. It does a really good job of incorporating all sorts of classic Zelda abilities, from Link's shield, bow, and hookshot, to some newer things like Zelda's Naru of Love, which functions similar to her Smash Bros. Reflect. With the right timing, this move easily becomes one of the best in the game, thanks to it offering both protection and reflection moves. But don't get too trigger happy with it. With every ability comes a great cost. The stamina meter is there to keep you in check. The game goes above and beyond to stay faithful to the 2D Zelda games of old and offers some unique twists to really shake up the formula, which keeps everything pretty fresh. Not only does the main story offer tons of Zelda goodness, you can always replay the game with a random seed for a completely randomized experience. This really turns the replay value meter up to 100. That's all I could ask for. Great visuals, wonderful music, a robust gameplay, and even a co-op feature that really pushed this game up there as one of my favorites of the year. Streets of Rogue is a roguelike game that, although may look simple on the surface, offers a ton of depth. You fight for a resistance group that has to take down a corrupt mayor and save the city. You pick between 24 different classes, or you can make your own class and battle through bunches of randomly generated levels. The objectives are usually simple things like opening a safe, retrieving an item, or neutralizing 3 scientists in a room, etc, etc. The game really comes into its own because of the amount of freedom the game offers you to solve each objective. Do you want to blow an entire building up, killing everyone in the room and looting NPCs for all the money they have? You can do that. Do you want to be a hacker and play as stealthily as you can to unlock each door and make your way to a heavily guarded compound and open that safe? You can do that too. Maybe you want to run a literal gang, hiring NPCs and strong arming everything in your path to get the job done. You can do that as well. Or, just play as a gorilla for the heck of it and bash everything in your path. It really offers a lot of different pathways to complete objectives, and all of them are really fun. The game can end up being a little bit on the long or short side depending on how well you breeze through missions, but since the point of the game is it's a roguelike, it's basically infinite fun, and if your run ends early, you could always just restart or quick restart or do whatever you need to do to get right back into the swing of things. The controls are pretty good. It's a run-of-the-mill top-down action game similar to dungeon crawlers, and the dialogue between NPCs is pretty wacky and downright hilarious at times. The icing on the cake is the couch co-op and online co-op feature, which allows you and 4 friends to run around causing havoc and near limitless enjoyment. They can set up distractions for you, they can hack with you. There's so much cool stuff you could do when you're coupled with a group of buddies. The one downside is the fact that it's not on more platforms. As of this recording, it's only on the PC and Switch. I really recommend the Switch version as the Joy-Con themselves lead to some easy fun couch co-op sessions, but I personally got the Steam version thanks to a review code provided to me by TinyBuild. So it's nice to see another early access darling land its target, and only for $20, I think it's worthy of the purchase. My Friend Pedro is a game I already reviewed, so I'm going to keep this one relatively brief. This game is just plain fun. The physics-based platforming handles well and reminds me a little bit of games like Prince of Persia in terms of the weight and feel of Pedro. The guns are punchy and the tricks you can perform are really satisfying as you watch bad guys go from ruthless killers into literal piles of meat and red mist. The synth-step, dubstep soundtrack hits all the right spots, and if arcade shoot-em-ups are your thing, then I really don't recommend skipping out on My Friend Pedro. You're gonna have a blast with this game. Oh, you can find the game on Nintendo Switch and the PC at the moment, but I really hope it gets ported to other consoles. Everything about Crash Team Racing is pretty fun. It's basically a straight up 1-to-1 of the PS1 classic. There's not much that was touched up except for adding the brand new Nitro Kart tracks into the Crash Team Racing formula. The drifting is spot on. I love all the amount of characters we have. All the karts are really cool and the customization aspect of the game is great. Also having a wonderful robust adventure mode to really test your skills and get accustomed to the controls and racing through a variety of challenges is always a blast and a great way to teach the players how to get used to the game before they go on to the horrendous place that is online where if you're like me, you just kind of get thrashed and creamed because I'm not as fast as these kids. Unfortunately, there are some huge issues with the microtransactions that honestly halt progression of the game when you want to unlock customization. You can grind and grind and grind your way up at the top to get a variety of tokens, but unfortunately with the new way the payout is, it's just a way too tedious grind and kind of takes the fun away from racing, especially if you just want to unlock some of the cooler things they've added like Spyro and like Nork and Hunter and like all the cool stuff, but whatever. All I'm trying to say is, due to these microtransaction practices, it's really hard for me to fully recommend this game because, well, it being a little bit more budget at $50, $40 depending on what console you get it on, the biggest issue is still the fact that there's so many microtransactions in the game that make it harder to actually unlock the really cool stuff, and that was one of the biggest draws of Crash Team Racing, at least for me personally. Now you're just left with a really fun, robust kart racer, but maybe missing some content unless you want to fork over the extra bucks, or if you want to go through the super tedious grind we have now. Overall, from a gameplay perspective, it's really good, but I recommend buying this game on sale. Ninja Legends is pretty simplistic all things considered. It's a wave-based hack and slash where you slice and dice hordes of shinobi and then move on to the next mission, rinse and repeat. You do get a variety of new weapons and skills to switch between, so combat never gets too repetitive or stale. You could deflect incoming attacks, which causes a slow motion effect, allowing you to strike your foes quickly and precisely. The faster, more precise you cut, the easier it is to dispatch your foes as they get dismembered in a gooey red mist. I really enjoyed this game's combat. It's pretty easy to pick up, but the use of abilities is fun too. You get things like a bow and arrow and a shadow ball, and then many others that I haven't completely unlocked yet, but they're all pretty unique and offers a lot of replay value. This lends itself to a great party experience, seeing how you could easily pass the headset around to create some very fun moments. The shinobi are also pretty diverse, from generic sword fighters to claw users to big takey generals. If there's anything I would change with the game, I would like to see some more sound cues to be a bit more precise. It's really frustrating to get swarmed with enemies and not knowing that people are behind you, or honestly not knowing where anyone's coming from, and the little arrow indicator isn't doing a good enough job of pointing out when people are going to ambush you. I also think some more music choices would be nice, as the same track kind of repeats throughout waves, which can get a little bit on the ear grating side. But regardless, it's still an early access, it still has a lot of time to grow, and I think it's a great game to get into if you're new to VR, or you just want to show something off to your friends. Okay. Once again, I'm going to cut to the chase. We already covered these games in depth with my own solo review, so if you're interested in any of these games, click that little card icon and check the comment section at the end of the video for the links on those reviews. These games are going to be Ultimate Alliance 3 and Fire Emblem 3 Houses. This time though, we're going to mix it up a little bit and start with Fire Emblem, because so far it is my game of the year for 2019. The combat, visuals, and story are such a step up from the 3DS entries, and the game is just an incredible treat. The overworld monastery is enjoyable to explore, interacting with students is always a treat, and the whole atmosphere of the game really sells it for me. The combat encounters really test your wits, and on classic mode makes every single move feel like it could be your last. If you don't have 3 houses yet, I don't know what to say. You should probably head out and get that game as quickly as possible, because the less I say about the game and the more blind you go in, the better this game will become. Just trust me on this one. I was skeptical at first, but this is truly one of my favorite JRPGs, honestly, of all time, and one of the best JRPGs I've played this year. Ultimate Alliance 3 is a bit basic, simple, maybe generic. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but I had so much fun just mindlessly beating up people in this dungeon crawler. It's easy to digest story, and its slew of Marvel heroes are just too fun to mess around with, and the co-op is always a wonderful feature, although the online lobbies could use a little bit of polish. However, the sheer amount of Marvel heroes and bonus objectives and wonderful side quests the game has to offer is just too much fun to pass up, as Ultimate Alliance 3 is just a wondrous experience. That was a lot of games to cover. Thank you all so much for sticking with me to the end of the video. I'm gonna drop you guys with one question. What games are you looking forward to for 2019? What are you playing of 2019? What games did you guys enjoy? Did anything on this list pique your interest that you want to check out? Let's just have a little bit of a conversation down below in the comment section. Really want to catch up with you guys and see what's popping. On top of all of that, if you did enjoy the video and want to check out some of my other content, go ahead and check out my channel. Just click on the channel icon and all of that, and if you like what you see, maybe drop a subscription, turn on that bell icon, and get notified when I'm uploading new videos and content. Also, if you want to check out my other antics, keep it locked on my Twitter and Twitch, where you can just catch up with my socials and see exactly what I'm doing over there. Catch some playthroughs of other games that I'm playing throughout the year. I think Gears 5 is probably going to be next by the time of this video. We'll see. But regardless, thank you all again so much for coming out and checking out my video. It really means a lot. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.